Okay, welcome everyone for today's Asian philosophy, and we are going to continue by reading Feng Youlan's A Short History of Chinese Philosophy. Today we are dealing with chapter 5, Mozi. Okay, the title called The First Opponent of Confucius. As usual, let me go over the schedule. So last week we deal with Confucius, and then the title is The First Teacher. Okay. And then this week, we are going to deal with Mozi. And the title Feng Youlan put it is The First Opponent of Confucius. So we will see how he is going to be different than Confucius. Okay. And usually being considered as the greatest philosopher or greatest teacher, first philosopher in Chinese history, and also how we will learn how Mozi played a role in during that time and even today. And next week we will go to the other direction, which is chapter 6, talking about the first phase of Daoism, Yangzhu. And I believe probably a lot of people haven't heard about this name, but you will see Yangzhu is another person who is opposite to Mozi. So you will see Confucius is one way, and then Mozi today is opposed Confucius. And next week, Yangzhu is go to the other direction. Okay, so you will see the dynamic between different philosophers and how are they going to resolve the same problem during that time. We are talking about at least 2,000 years ago, the problem in China. So just quick review. Probably we don't have to spend too much time on this one. And the book I'm following is A Short History of Chinese Philosophy by Feng Youlan, which is written at 1947, which is a concise version of another, I think about 800 pages, the book called A History of Chinese Philosophy, okay, which is much longer. I may spend some time to go over that book, but I think it's worth it to go on the shorter version first. Feng Youlan, a little bit about this person. He lived for a long life, and then one thing I'd like to mention is his writing on this one is he called himself is rewriting the history of Chinese philosophy from a modern perspective. So he has been trained in philosophy in Columbia University. So I also realized reading his book is different than other book introduced Chinese philosophy. The difference is this: he has critique thinking. So he not other Chinese philosophy, when I don't know anybody have this experience or not, feel like the philosopher is preaching to you, and feel like the Chinese philosophy is all about the moral preaching. And Feng Youlan's writing is a little bit different because he put in the structure of Western philosophy. So it kind of feel like you are reading, at least you can feel the philosophical part when you read this book. That's my own experience, and that's the reason I highly recommend this book, other than other philosophy book to introduce Chinese philosophy, which sometimes I feel it's only try to impose some moral teaching to the reader. Okay, so that's my personal experience I'd like to share. Quick overview on this project I'm going to do. This one has about exactly 28 chapters, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1 week, one chapter per week, and which will last 28 weeks. And it's all chapters are semi-independent. So of course, I hope everyone can read from the beginning to the end. But the situation is, If you miss one, you still can continue because they talk to different philosophy, but we will mention, get. So today we are going on the chapter 5, which is Mozi, okay, the first opponent of Confucius. And last week we talked about Confucius as the first teacher. So before I officially introduce this chapter, is any common questions? And we can you raise your hand, or we can discuss before we move on. No question? Everybody fine? So just a quick review. Does everyone know? Is anyone had never heard about Mozi, or this have no clue? Everybody have some idea about him, right? That's my assumption. So if nobody,
I never heard.
You never heard about him? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I assume everybody has some idea of this person, but okay, so I'm going to briefly organize today's section with 5 parts. Okay, so first I call it the Mohism, the person and the philosophy, and second part deal with love. That's his core philosophy. Then I deal with his philosophy, then his idea of the state of nature. Okay, actually his political theory. And then number 5, I'm going to deal with some of the criticism about his philosophy. And then let's move on. Okay, so just a quick review on the history, right? Right now we are in the Confucius was born at 551 BCE during this time. This guy is Confucius. We don't know Mozi, okay, the person, okay. We don't have a clear idea, unlike Confucius. In general, we can say we know who he is and what he did, what his job, but we don't know about Mozi. But we sort of know this man and his philosophy and his group. So unlike in Confucius last week, I focus on Confucius, but not on Confucian schools. I make a clear distinction between Confucius and the Confucian schools. Okay, so that's a different thing. Today, when we talk about Mozi and Mohism, we have no clear distinction. We don't know which part is his writing, which part is his philosophy, which part is his disciple, which part is the people later on add on, because we don't have a clear idea, because we don't know who is this person. So forgive me, today I may not be able to provide clear information about this person. In general, when we said Mohism or Mozi, we are talking about the same thing. Unlike when we talk about Confucians and Confucius, we talk about a little bit different thing, because one is the person, one is the school. And today we probably don't have a clear distinction. So that's the map, just let you know for the person who first time, okay, during that time. So we believe Mozi or Mohism is popular during the end of spring and autumn time, which is after Confucius, and probably get very popular during the warring state until the unification of China. Of course, during that time, Mozi, the founder, the person, is no more exists. It died already. But his school, his teaching must be very popular. So we are not only spend today to talk about Mozi, and then I think in a few weeks later, we are going to talk about so-called the later Mohism, which is a different kind of philosophy, continue from Mozi and popular during the warring state time. So just a quick review, and if you were here in the first few sections, we talk about the 6 major schools during that time, the Ru, so-called Confucianism, legalism, Daoism, Mohism, school of name, and the Yin Yang school. This is 6 major schools. Most of people agree on these 6 schools. So last week we talked about Confucius, which is the Ru school, or we call the Confucianism school. Okay, that's during this time. And then today we are moving to another school called Mohism. It's a founder called Mozi. Okay, that's the school. And next week we are going to talk about Daoism. Okay, so that's next week. So just okay, since we don't know about this person, but I feel like I have to provide some information. So I copy from the internet encyclopedia of philosophy. Look, guys, they have a pretty good information about Mozi, and which is generally, I would say, consensus information. So we call him Mozi, and in the book we are reading called Mozi. Okay, so as you know, Zi or Tzu basically means the master or Mr. So basically we call him Mr. Mo or Master Mo, and Mo is his last name, his family name. And sometimes called Modi or Moti, okay, because his first name, his given name is Di, okay. So that's why people call him Modi or Master Mo or Mozi, okay. So that's all about him. And Western philosophy usually give the name for his philosophy as Mohism. So that's I will constantly use the name Mohism today. And he's best remembered for being the first major intellectual rival of Confucius and his follower. Okay, he's famous about his 10 theses. Okay, which we will introduce later. And then he talked about impartial concern, 兼爱, and then or sometimes you translate as universal love. Okay, so that's his core philosophy, and he is multi-mass, a polymath, right? Not only on philosophy, he also well, he is not the right name. His school, okay, that's what we call it the later Mohism. It's good in logic. So the later Mohism, when we are talking about, we are going to deal with logic, which is very unusual during the Chinese history. Okay. And another thing, they also work on geometry, optics, and mechanics. So they are engineers, they are craftsmen. Okay. So they have their philosophy has been popular up to Qin and Han, and then kind of die out. And of course, we can say they disappear, and there's another subject people constantly discuss why they disappear, right? Do they completely disappear, or their philosophy has been absorbed into other Chinese philosophy tradition? That's another question people may ask, people may start to think through. So that's about him, even don't have a lot of information, but that's about his life. Okay. Well, we don't know his life, but basically that's about his basic information. Okay. So next thing I would like to introduce is about the book. Okay, as you know, the ancient Chinese, traditional Chinese, we call the person Mozi, Mr. Mo, and his book also called Mozi. So there's a book left, so we still can find it. If you go to CTEX, you still get a very comprehensive collection of his writing, so-called Mozi. Okay, so total have 71 chapter. some chapter had just empty because the content is lost. So, but we still have a good amount, about 53 still have contents there. But the title, if you take a quick look, you will find out at the beginning, talk about self-cultivation, talking about learned, briefing and learned, and talk about the 7 causes of, talk about virtue, talk about aggression, or condemn aggression of war, impartial love, talk about economic of expenditure, okay, will of heaven. That's very typical philosophical writing. And then here you see talk about on ghost, talking about condemnation of music, condemnation, anti-Confucianism. Okay, so he directed attacked Confucianism. To the later part, you will see a lot of things like prepare against, like this one, preparation against tunneling, defense against and rush. Okay, so that's the military operation, right? Command and order, flag. Okay, so they have a lot of okay, like this one, fortification of city gate. So defense against attack from an elevation. So there's a lot of engineering, and I go to the book. You know, sometimes it go to very detail. 4 feet wide, how long, how deep you have a deep trench. So go to this kind of deal, kind of like engineering book. So that's another part. And also another part we will talk about in another section is this part, so-called major and minor illustration, canon and exposition. This one is his logic. Okay, so just like Greek philosophy, Aristotle's syllogism, he have some way of deal with logic. So that's all about him. But today we are going to focus on the first part on this one. So this part, engineering part, we are not going to deal with. And then today we will focus on the first part. So usually we summarize. Okay, that's kind of like copy from the textbook. Most of textbook, or you do the internet search, you will find out Mozi have the 10 theses. This 10 is his core philosophies, based on elevation of the worthy, so-called 上贤, agreement with the superior, impartial love, and here Feng translate as all-embracing love or universal love. We will read some of his texts, see how he talk about the love. Okay. And then he is against the military aggression, frugality in expenditure, frugality in funeral, the will of the heaven, elucidation of the ghost. He tried to prove the existence of ghost. Okay, he is against entertainment, or you want to call it, and against music, and he's against fatalism. Okay, so you will see music is an important part for Confucius. Fatalism, well, that's arguable. Okay, it's also important to Confucius, but he's against this. Funeral, okay, Confucius is very important for the your parents. Okay, mourn for your parents for 3 years. He's rejected. He's against the funeral and against the rituals. So that's how he differed from Confucius. Another way, another story is about he was study with Confucian schools. So he was prepared to become a Confucian scholar during that time. You can see his age, probably, let's say he was born right after Confucius' death. So he must learn from Confucius' disciple. Then he studied, but he find out, it's wasteful. Okay, it doesn't make sense or useless during that time. Okay? A lot of war, and you want to resolve the problem, reach the peaceful world. It's not a solution. That's why he started his own school. So that's another way to look at this one. We talk about the origin of the school, okay? Because we have the 6 schools, and I think we already talked about this one, but you probably will see the same chart on every week. Last week, we talked about Ru, okay, which, because according to Feng Youlan's theory, there's a different class of people, different group of people, traditionally, before Confucius. During the spring and autumn time or warring state, this group or this class of people start to form certain philosophy. So, for example, last week we talked about they have a group of people called Ru, and their job is scholar. Okay? They are advisor about the ritual. So they become a so-called Confucianism, or one called the Ru school, and that's the tradition. Today, we talk about Mohism, and according to Feng Youlan, they are so-called the knight-errant, xia, and they are member. Okay, they used to be doing job for the noble society, as bodyguard, security, this kind of job. But during this time, they kind of recruit the people from the common, and they, unlike Confucius, Confucius tried to lift the common people up to the aristocracy level, so-called the gentlemen. Okay, so they can doing the government job. And opposite to Confucius, they are recruit people from the commoner, and they descend to the level of commoner. So they become part of the commoner, and they form a group. So that's also explained one of the reasons why Mohism not popular after China the unification of China, because traditionally the scholar and the government, they look down on the commoner. So these people become the commoner's philosophy. So it's not being focused, and probably a lot of time being lost, not in the record. That's one of the reasons, it's not popular. But of course, that's a perennial, constant discuss question, and then we are not going to talk about this one here. So, okay, here just a little bit interpretation about the concept of xia. Okay, the translation is knight errant. So let me see. Okay, so that's in page 50. I copy from the Feng Youlan's writing. Feng Youlan talk about the class of people was known as xia. Okay. And or sometimes called Yu Xia, okay, and the term which both translates knight errant. So concerning the knight errant, Shi Ji, the record of great historian, said their words were always sincere and trustworthy. Their action always quick and decisive. They were always true to what they promised and without regard to their own person. They will rush into danger and the threatening others. So in other words, they don't look their own personal happiness, personal safety as that important. They consider others. Okay, so that's Feng Youlan write about this kind of people. So Mohism or the follower of Mozi have this kind of spirit. Okay, so that's their professional ethic a large part of Mozi's teaching was an extension of this ethic. So if you want to know detail about this ethic as Xia, the best way I would recommend to read a Chinese novel called Water Margin, okay, 水浒传. That's all talk about this kind of tradition. But that's a Fong-Youlan's idea. I personally, I not all agree on this one. I may more think about these people growing from the craftsman and the merchant, because that's my understanding. That's about the Xia, okay, which is a Fong-Youlan's opinion. In my opinion, I will see this group of people represent the non-farmer. Okay, if you look at the Chinese history, of course, the most important are the aristocrat, okay, the noble level. For the commoner, most important are farmers. Okay, they all look down on the merchant or craftsman, and I believe Mohism and their follower, they represent the craftsman and the merchant. From his book, you will see they have a lot of things talking about engineering, and I think that's their profession. Again, that's my opinion, and then I'm not alone. I know a few scholars is talking about this way, and they are different than Confucianism. Okay, in Confucius' situation, he's a teacher and he has a lot of disciples. They travel around, they basically talk, they try to get a job. And Mohism is different. They have the head, okay? Or you can say Confucianism or Confucian school also the head, the teacher. But after the death of Confucius, there's no clear leader. But Mohism, they always have leader, and they call Juzi, okay, the big guy, great master. And the Mozi is being considered as the first great master. So these people are not just teacher, scholar, talker. Okay, they work. They have the military operation. When they talk about peace, they really help. Okay, the other state. Okay, to defend their country. They go to the military operation. They sacrifice their life. Okay, to do what they believe. So that's a different situation than Confucius school. So one thing you can compare is about the Ru school and the Xia. Okay, so that's the different part. So it's more like, I think I already talked about this one. So basics, they have the different ethic on that. So that's the difference. So you will know before we talk about their philosophy, we would know, these two schools, Confucianism and the Mohism, they already start from a different interest and a different background. Okay, so we will not surprise their philosophy will be different. So I will stop here for minutes if you have any question, comment. Before I move on to how Mohism or Mozi or Mohist school criticized Confucius or Confucianism. Jen, please.
Yes, I'm just interested to understand why he was against music.
Oh, okay. I will talk about this. Okay. Thank you to mention.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you don't get
fine.
clear, then let me know. Okay, raise your hand again. So I'll make sure.
Thank
That's
you.
important. Yeah, it's unthinkable because, well, especially for the people who love music, would say, why are you against music? Well, one quick answer for this, right? The music is not today. You just get a Spotify account, then you can hear it, or you can, but you can think about during that time how you're going to enjoy music. You need probably you need a team, right, to play music for you. So it's quite expensive. Okay, let's put it this way.
Thanks.
So any other question or comment? So one thing I like to talk about, if you usually I am not able to see the chat. So if you have a question, concern, better raise your hand. And thank you, Mandarin, last time, kind of help me answer all the question on the chat. So, okay, so if no other question, I'm going to move on to this part, talking about just kind of continue from Jen's question about Mohism criticism of Confucianism. Okay, so on his book, chapter 48, so-called Gongmeng. Gongmeng is a person's name. Gongmeng is a Confucian student, okay, scholar, let's put it this way. Okay, so they have the debate. Okay, so Mozi, okay, summarize 4 things. The principle of Confucianism ruin the whole world in 4 ways. That's his conclusion. After the debate, the master Mo talking about the principle of Confucianist ruin the world. Okay, it's pretty in Chinese called 足以上天下. Okay, that's a very heavy word. Said your philosophy, Confucius. Okay, basically you ruin the entire world in 4 aspects or in 4 ways, right? First, okay, well, today you may say, oh, it doesn't make sense, but that's his argument. First, talking about they do not believe the existence of heaven and the ghosts, so-called, and so the heaven and the ghosts are not happy. Okay, so that's number 1. Second, Confucians insist elaboration of funeral and practice 3 years of mourning on the death of a parent. So basics is wasteful. Okay, and he has a further argument. He said, "Oh, everyone have 2 parents, 1 father, 1 mother, and each one is 3 years. So your 6 years is gone, and then." It's not just simple for 3 years, right? You also have uncle, which could be 1 year, could be sometime. So if you add on all this together, nobody can deal with this. They're totally wasteful, right? And again, Confucius stress on practice on music. Okay, so according to Mozi, which is wasteful and useless. Okay, and why Confucius focus on music? Confucius think music is important, and Confucius personally like music. He liked to sing, and in the Confucius Analect, they talk about when Confucius hears somebody singing, Confucius will ask him to sing one more time, and the Confucius will follow it and try to sing again. So that's Confucius' style. And Confucius think music education is very important. You can nurture your personality. But in Mozi's point of view, the music is totally wasteful. Confucius believe in predetermined fate. Okay, so mandate of heaven. Okay, so we will talk about this situation because Confucius do believe there's something beyond our control. Okay, so Mohist complaint or criticize is this one will cause laziness. Okay, because you only do certain things and then leave the other thing to the heaven. They will make people lazy. So that's the 4 point. Okay, Mohist argue against Confucianism. And on his book 39, okay, the so-called anti-Confucianism. Okay, so that's he's talking about. Okay, so I'm going to read. Those with long life cannot exhaust the required study. Okay, so first thing, talk about Confucius. Focus a lot on the ancient text study. You need to read, you need to study. Eager to learn, so-called 好学, is one of the most important quality for Confucian school. So he said, during that time, Chinese already accumulated a lot of texts, right? So even you have a long life, you cannot learn all the texts. So study is also a waste. The vigorous youth cannot perform all the ceremonial duties. Confucius focused on rituals, duties. There's many discretion. He said, that's you need to do. That's the ancient way to do it. You cannot skip it. Okay, so I believe that's his complaint when he studied with Confucian schools, and then he feel this one is too much. Okay, and then number three, the rich cannot afford the music performance, just like what I answered before, right? During that time, the play music performance is quite expensive. You need a lot of you need a team, okay, to play, and so it's wasteful according to Mohism. So Confucianist teaching, this weak, he call it weak art, to mislead the ruler and promote music to spoil the people. Their doctrine are not needed of the time. Their teaching cannot educate the people. That's his sharp criticism about Confucian school. So kind of like a little bit defense or explanation about fatalism. I think it's worth to get some interpretation about Confucius fatalism. Okay, because Mohism criticized about Confucian fatalism is not all correct. I would say misunderstanding, because Confucius fatalism is so-called 知命, knowing the fate. Okay, so Confucius is very famous. We talked about last week, right? The word 命 doesn't mean predestination. Okay, so predestination may cause, well, if you know what's going on, my test is going to fail, so I don't have to study. I know my test is going to pass, so I don't have to study. They will be lazy. I think that's not the right attitude for Confucius. Confucius will say, since you have the test, you have to do all your effort to study as hard as possible. Whether or not you can pass, that's fate. Okay, that's nothing you can control. So according to Confucius, knowing the fate just make you to study hard and will not feel disappointed if you failed. Okay, so that's Confucius' attitude. That's why Confucius famous to say, will the Tao prevail? Tao prevail means he's talking about a bigger picture, right? Confucius, he keep working hard, working on his philosophy. He would like, let's say, save the world, but look like the situation get worse and worse. So he will say, the Tao prevail. Tao means the peaceful, okay, or not. It's fated. Will the Tao diminish or not? It's fated. So Confucius just do his effort and leave the result to the heaven. Okay, so in this way, Confucius, if you criticize Confucius or Confucian school as fatalism, it's not fair. But unfortunately, that's the Mohism school criticized Confucius, and it's very harshly on this part. So I will stop for a while if you have a question before I go to another short story, and which I think will well explained, and how does the Mohism, okay, they behave, and then how they deal with the situation during that time. Yeah. No question, comment? Okay, so I'll move on. Okay, Joe, please.
In this case, I do have one. As I see it, it appears Mozi is also concerned about the fact that the Confucianists are making a lot of money on the rites that they practice. The word frugality appear in that.
Why you see Confucius make or Confucian school make a lot of
No.
money?
Because these rites are not free. I mean, the people who actually want to have these funeral things taken care of usually have to contribute money to somebody else. And from what you've told me, it doesn't appear that the Confucianists actually do physical work. They do, they're like sort of, I don't want to say this, but they're sort of like leeches. I mean, they live off other people. And I can understand why someone would be concerned about that. And the people they're living off don't have a lot of money.
Okay, I definitely, I would not say I agree, but I definitely understand the concern, right? If you look at in the communist revolution, right? I think the Mozi is very socialist or very communist. They represent a different class of people. When they look the aristocrat, you say, you guys doing something to make a lot of money, or you spend a lot of money, which can probably one music performance for Confucius, right? Which he considered as go back to his so-called the music, the wonderful music, surrounding the roof for 3 days. Okay, that's how he described and how beautiful this music. But this music performance probably costs a farmer's or the craftsman's 1 month living cost, right? So I think that's definitely the concern. And then I think you are right. They criticize. I think it's very short on this part. Thank you to bring up this one. And I have no, well, depending on which side you stand. Right? So next, I'm going to, I think if you read on page 51 in the reading, you probably know this story, and I kind of summarize that on his chapter 15. So to me, this story basically tell you 2 things, right? One is Mohist is unlike Confucius and his disciple. It's kind of teacher, student. This one is a group. You can say communist party. Okay, they have the head, and then they have the people. Okay, and people work on that. They have the hierarchy on that. So it's an organization. It's not just a philosophical belief. You come and go. Okay, it's kind of tight society. Secondly, probably we should respect is unlike other philosophers, right? They just talk the talk, but Mohism or Mohists, okay, they walk the walk, right? They really do the work, and even they don't mind sacrifice their life, right? So this one is very famous story, and then in the chapter 50, and talk about Gong Shu, the person, Gong Shu is Gong Shu Ban. That's why people believe Mohism is the same age as Confucius' younger disciple, because Gong Shu Ban and Zixia, one of Confucius' young student, are in the same peer. Okay, so since he talked about this, so that means they probably Mozi probably in this age. So Gong Shu Ban is mechanical inventor. Okay, and he employed by the state of Chu. Okay, if you look at the map, the Chu is a large country, and during that time, it's a very powerful country on the south. Had completed a construction of new weapon for attacking a city wall. Okay, Chu was preparing to attack Song with this new weapon. Song is a small state, so you can imagine the situation is a large state, and they hire an inventor. Okay, and then they have the new weapon to attack a smaller state called Song. Hearing this, Mozi went to Chu, okay, the large state, to persuade the king to desist. There he and the Gong Shu Ban make a demonstration before the king, see how to attack and defend. Mozi first untie his belt and lay out the city with it, and using a small stick as a weapon. Gong Shu Ban, therefore set up the 9 different miniature machines to attack. But Mozi is 9 times repulse him. So basics, they do it on the table, use belt as the wall, and just like today's sandbox, practice. So they do it on the table. Okay. Finally, Gong Su Ban has used up all his machines of attack, while Mozi had, he still have more idea how to defend. Okay, on the table. Then Gong Su Ban said, "I know how to defeat you, but I will not say it." And to which Mozi replied, "I know what it is, but I too will not say it." Okay, so the king of Chu, because they pray this one in front of the king of Chu, so he commanded them to say it. So Mozi said, "Gong Su Ban is thinking about murdering me, but my disciples, okay, Qin Gu Li, okay, that's his disciple, and the others, okay, 300 men are already armed with my implements of defense, waiting on the city wall of Song for the invasion." So that means even you kill me is useless, okay, because I already told my people how to do it, and he already led 300 men over there to prepare. So in this case, right, the king of Chu decide, okay, we have no way to be successful, so let's stop it. So this story basically will tell you, just like I say, they are not just like Confucius, right? Or like Mencius we'll talk about in 2 weeks. They just go to the king, tell him like, oh, you should love people. Okay, you should, people's nature is good. Okay, if you provide a good environment, they will do good. Okay, don't talk about benefit, talk about moral. Okay, blah, 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 all these kinds of, he is not like this kind of person. He's very practical. He go there, say, see, you want to attack. I have a way to defend. That's the way to do it. Okay, and even you kill me, it's no use because I already sent people over there. So you cannot be successful. So you can see there, we don't know the story is true or not true, but basics, you can see his organization, his attitude about the so-called world peace. So that's the first part of today's, and then again, question, comment on this. So next time, next section, I will talk about his most important concept of love. Okay, Madeline, please.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. This is great. The chapter 50, page 51 you're referring to, that's Mozi book?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
No, refer to the formula short history. Oh, chapter 50 is okay. Page 51, I'm talking about. So sorry, I should make it clear. Here I put the P51. Something that means if we want to check with formula a short history of Chinese philosophy, that's the page number. You can find it. Because whenever I put a page number, so if you want to go back to the original Fengyolan's text, and usually I put in the blue, okay, that means that's what Fengyolan do it. Okay, if I put in the purple, okay, that means Jason. That's my opinion. Okay, so and here I put the chapter 50. That means Mozi, the book. Okay, they have the 71 chapter. And that's the chapter 50. The chapter title is Gong Su. Okay, so sorry.
Okay. I have the short history book.
Yeah, you go to 51. That should be there because I copied there.
Okay, maybe I have a different pagination or something.
You may have the different pagination, but I think if you go to the PDF I posted, it could be, it's the same. Yeah. And again, each chapter is not that long, so probably not that difficult to find it.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you used the PDF page number.
I use the, oh, no, I'm talking about page number. You can see here. Okay. That's the page number I'm talking about. Okay. Page 50, page 51, right? Okay. Here, the story episode is Mozi that noted mechanical inventor Gong Su Ban. See, I almost copy word by word here.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
So
I
that's the
haven't-
page number I'm talking about. Okay, so
Okay.
a lot of time I just copy from the Feng Youlan's PDF copy, and then I just paste over and reformat it. And sometimes I correct some spelling, okay, and sometimes I put the parentheses for different word because I think it's more proper, use a different way. So that's only thing. And a lot of time I put the Chinese text underneath. So for the people who know Chinese can compare, you know, because sometimes depend on translator's opinion. So.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, the book I got a couple of years ago is paginated differently because it has the Chinese in it as well.
Oh, okay. That's a different one. That's a different one. Yeah, I know that book. I also have that book. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the second part. Okay. That's the most important part, and then for his philosophy. Okay. So if you know Chinese, okay, that's so-called Jian Ai. That's his word. Okay. And it's of course it's difficult to translate, just like in Confucius, we talk about Ren. Okay, we have very difficult time to translate that word. So turn out I have to use the word just Ren, okay, without translation. So Jian Ai, okay, so he has 3 chapters talking about Jian Ai, which Feng Youlan translates as all-embracing love. Different translation, all-embracing love. A lot of, if you go to Wikipedia or internet, you probably see universal love. Okay. Personally, I like this term. Okay. I mean, myself, I will use undifferentiated love. Okay. I will explain later. And or sometimes translate as impartial love, or you prefer use Greek word, agape, could be, could not be, I don't know. But you know, that's another way to think about it. Okay. So basics, that's the meaning. Okay. And we will have more, I think I put the, okay, I put a long paragraph, okay, from his text. Okay. I don't think it's in Feng Youlan's writing, but since that's important, I think that's the best way is to read the original text, and you probably know what Mozi means. So page 53 from Feng Youlan's writing, okay, Mozi make no criticism of Confucius' central idea of Ren and Yi, right? So last week we talked about Confucius' the moral theory. The most important is Ren and Yi. Actually, Mozi has no criticism on that. He probably think Confucius didn't do it enough. Okay, so for Mozi, Ren and Yi are also all embracing love. Okay, a man of Ren, a man of Yi are the person who practice all embracing love. So the concept, the central idea of Mozi philosophy represent the logical extension of the professional ethic of Xia. Okay, from Mozi's group, right? So he doesn't deny the concept of Ren and Yi, which is Confucius' moral theory. But different is one should love everyone else equally without discrimination. Okay, so in his point of view, Confucius talking about Ren and Yi is right, but not enough, because you have to do this love to everyone. Okay, equally. I think the concept is equally and without discrimination. Okay, so that's his key argument. Okay, which is different. I will not say against or criticize Confucianism, but basically it's very different from what Confucius talking about. So here it's I copy and translate from his chapter 16 and chapter 16 again. That's the Mozi, the book. And because the impartial love or all-embracing love have 3 chapters talking about the same subject. So usually, yeah, the 3 parts. Okay, the task of a human-hearted man, which is Ren, is to procure benefit to the world. Let me see, shall I read this one? Okay, so I don't have to read all this one. Important I want to say is, we must say that they are discrimination. He talking about why today's world, right? The world is not peace because you treat everyone with discrimination. Okay, the discrimination is not talking about the racism, this kind of concept. It's talking about different, right? I treat people different. So his argument is, if you treat everyone the same, the world will be peaceful. So in Chinese word, there's a 2 words called 别 and 间. We call 间, and another word is 别. So 别 means discrimination, differentiate. And the 间 means all-embracing, means undifferentiate. Okay, so you should not have differentiate. Okay, love. The love should be undifferentiated. That's his argument. So whenever whoever criticizes others must have something to substitute what he criticized. Therefore, substitute all embracingness for discrimination. So that's his point. When everyone regards the state of others as he regards his own, who will attack these states, right? It sounds very simple, okay, but basically he's talking about if you love your own country, okay, then you see other country as an enemy. So they have a war. So you should love other country as I love my country. You should love other village as my own village. You should love other family as I love my own family. You should love other people as myself. So if you want to put in the Christian, okay, teaching, there will be love your neighbor as yourself. So in this way, the world will be peaceful. So in a way, his thinking is simple, but a lot of religious flavor. And he continued on this part. He's talking about we must set, there is a benefit. So here he draw the conclusion, the principle of all embracing. Okay, so again, he talk about 兼, this word. Okay, all embracing is the right thing, and the differentiate is the wrong thing. So you will see if you, that's the last part. Okay. Okay, when okay, here his argument a little bit lengthy. So here, okay, so his ideal world, right? He talk about thus the aged and the widow will have support and nourishment with which to run out their old age, and the young and the weak and the orphan will have a place to support and grow up. When all embracing love is adopted as a standard, such are the consequence benefit. So he argued not from the moral itself, he argued from the benefit. So why we need all embracing love? Because the aged, the widower or widow, okay, will have a support. There's orphan, if you are poor, they will support because people love each other. So that's his argument from this. So again, his word actually is an ideal word, right? This one I copy from Feng Youlan's. He said, using a utilitarianistic argument. So remember, his argument is different than Confucius' argument. Last time we talked about Confucius talking about yi, right? And Feng Youlan talking about yi is kind of like Kantian categorical imperative, which is deontology, okay, not consequentialist, okay. Mozi is different. Even they all agree on love, But Confucius talking about love is deontologist, and Mohism is consequentialist because he talk about utilitarian, okay, because that's benefit, okay, because if you love each other, the benefit is this. That's his argument. Second difference from Confucius is Confucius, you can call him as particularism, right? Because you have a different way to treat your parent, you have a different way to treat your kids than your friends' kids. But Mohism is generalism because it's no different to treat my kids and other person's kids. I treat my parents same way as I treat other person's people. I love my neighbor as I love myself. So that is different. So that's a two-word difference. You will say Confucius is so-called 别, that's the Chinese word, discriminative, okay, or differentiated. Mozi will call 兼, which means all embracing, or you want to call it undifferentiated. Okay, so here you talk about using a utilitarianistic argument. Mozi provide the principle of all-embracing love to be absolutely right. The human-heartedness man, which is 人, okay, whose task is to procure benefit for the world and eliminate the calamities, must establish all-embracing love as a standard action, both for himself and for others in the world. When everyone in the world act according to this standard, right, that would be the ideal world. So remember, during that time, everyone's thinking in everybody's mind, every philosophy mind is how to resolve the problem, to reach the peaceful, okay, situation, okay. So Mozi's ideal world, which can be created only through the practice of all-embracing love. That's his core thinking, okay, of Mohism. So I'll stop here before I move to the third part about his philosophy. Comment or question? Okay, who's Eddie, please.
Yes, I was just going to say, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, I was just going to comment that this reminded me of sort of the Arthurian ideal in England, and both the knighthood ideal for in England and Spain. So these ethics, these sort of moral teachings, I guess, of the knights errant. So it just comparatively, it just struck me as it's quite similar, different, of course, but very similar too at the same time.
Oh, okay, thank you. So you say they are similar?
Yes, I think so, because well,
yeah, okay.
But it also it seems contradictory because essentially these are men of war, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is feudalism, and it's essentially, if they have to go to war, they have to go to war. But and I guess it's important that they have these morals to differentiate their cause from just a caveman mentality or an animal. So this is important to have this moral base, but I just wonder if, I was thinking about this, they have to go to war whether they want to or not, right? I mean, if they have to kill their brother, they have to kill them, right? If they're ordered, right? I mean,
I don't know about the Mohism in this way.
oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, but if you talk about the knight, right, knighthood, or even in Japanese, the samurai, okay, you are right. Okay, but in this one, I kind of, or personal, that's my opinion. That's why, at the beginning, I not so agree on Feng Youlan talking about it's belong to the knight errant. I kind of more tend to believe they are bottom up. They are from the group of people. They are craftsmen, they are merchant, which being considered on the lower level. And that's just my imagination, right? They have the one smart guy called Mozi. He tried to study Confucius, you know, and then he find out, well, it doesn't work. That's all this rich boy talking about. We don't believe so. No way we can do it. So they go to the other direction. That's my imagination. But
So but more of a socialist.
yeah, they are socialists. And some
More
people
socialist because they
Yeah.
want that equality. Whereas
Yes.
at knights, I mean, they serve their kings, right?
Yes, that's right. So they are socialists. Let's put it this way, you know. And the
Okay.
data, I think later part, when we talk about state of nature, you may think about they are not so socialist. Let's put it this way. So
Okay.
okay. Anyway, Madeline, please.
Yes, along those lines, it also reminded me of things like workers' solidarity movements that arise from the peasant class, like a miners' strike or things like that sense of camaraderie.
Yeah.
And also it's quite interesting that they would be craftsmen, engineers, because those would be innovators. And Confucius did not like innovation very much, and it was generally mistrusted.
Mm-hmm. I would say all philosophy during that time, they don't like inventor, they don't like a craftsman, right? In Confucius, he doesn't like this one. He want people to study the tech. Taoism also don't like it. Okay, Taoism we'll talk about that's just some neck or some smart people doing something to shortcut. Okay, it's no use. Legalism also don't like it because these people pursuing the profit, right? They don't, if you are merchant or craftsman, you probably not loyal to your country that much, right? Because what you need is free travel, free trade, or so you don't have the tendency to love your country. The great person is farmer. So we see many philosophers, they all talk about farmer. Okay, if you are commoner, you should be the farmer. Okay, and I also include the text from the legalism writing, right? They call it the 5 termites. One is knight errant, okay, or merchant, craftsman. So they all discriminate against these people, and that's why that's one theory. That's why this Mohism, rise up, and it got popular. Okay, today a lot of people don't know, and through the over 2,000 years Chinese history, seems like Mohism is not that popular, not being discussed. But for sure, during the Warring State period of time, it's one of the most popular school. Okay, so if we see them as a social movement, I think it's like very possible. Eddie, please.
I was just going to say that from what it sounds like injustice. I mean, we have a lot of that, here in the United States, not to equate it with the United States in any way, shape, or form, because we're talking about the Warring States period, but there must have been a large amount of injustice, or, the rich getting justice, the poor not, or something like that. And it kind of reminds me of, how, the old saying here is, in the United States, the rich can get away with murder, but a poor person cannot, get away with going over the speed limit, 10 miles an hour without getting a ticket, right? So, just like Trump, I mean, he can, not to throw politics into it, but I mean, how many times have been to court for fraud and everything else? He's still running for president. But so, yeah, I'm starting to like Mohism here.
Yeah, that's a reflect the social phenomena. And again, we really don't know what's going on during that time, but everything we base is based on the book he left, and we kind of imagine, that could be the situation. So, so let me move on to the third part and talk about his philosophy. Okay, so here, I think this part will be different. You don't see it in Confucian teaching, right? I've been thinking about why, right? Because I put a philosophy basis, he has to, Mozi or Mohism, he has to think about how to convince people. Even Confucius talk about love. So we call it the ren, okay, human heartedness. Confucius love basics is nature, right? The argument is very easy, right? I love my kids, so this kind of love I can extend, even different to my neighbor's kids. I feel, okay, I love my parents and I see other senior, right? I can easily relate it, the love to my parents. That's the whole society, the social order can build as based on Confucius teaching, right? Mohism will be different, right? You should treat your neighbor just as myself. I treat my neighbor's kids as my own kids, right? And even the foreign kids as my own kids. I treat the neighboring state as my own state. It's very difficult. It's unnatural. That's why he need to develop something, okay, to convince people. Okay, so I think that's why it's important. And then going back to the story, he helped the state of Song to defend their country, right? He needs some tools to convince people. Okay, so that's why Mohism, other than their moral teaching, they have another value on that because they developed the idea how to persuade people, how to convince people. He tried to tell people why you have to love others as yourself, right? So the big subject he's facing, right, is how to persuade people to love one another. Okay, so Confucius doesn't have this problem. Okay, he just said it's nature to do this way. But Mohism, to love people, and even you have to sacrifice your life to help others, that's very difficult. So he need to find a way to persuade people to love one another. So I think Feng Youlan organized in there's 4 different way, okay, to argue on this one. So that's his text I talking about. He talking about he who love others must also be loved by others. He who benefit others must also be benefited by others. He who hate others must also be hated by others. He who injures others must also be injured by others. So that's a very common argument, right? So you can call it insurance. Okay, so I love people, so people will love me. I help people. One day I need help, people will help me also. That's the first level of argument. Second level, he's talking about government. Government have to enforce this kind of love. Okay, this kind of, so he called it identification with the superior. Okay, we will talk about when we talk about the state of nature. Okay, that's his idea of government, of the society. Okay, so that's the social power to ensure we love each other. He also talked about ghost. That's the reason he had to talk about ghost, or called the spirit. So he has, I think he has 3 chapters try to prove, okay, the existence of ghost. Okay, so proof of the existence of spirit. Finally, he talked about that's the will of heaven. Okay, so heaven you can take as God, God's will. So you can see if we want to see his love, his social class as a social movement. So here you start to see his religious, okay, aspect of Mohism school. And here there's something famous called the 3 tests of judgment. So basically he is one to tell you, how do you know this is good and what is good, right? So we may disagree on his argument, But by reading his text, you will find out Mozi is quite logical. Okay, so here I put some text with, if you're familiar with Aristotle's 4 causes, right? Efficient cause, material cause, formal cause, and the final cause. I find out Mozi or Mohism school kind of thinking about argument in this term, right? So he talk about 3 judgment, 3表, okay, 有本有缘有用, okay, so verifiability is talk about its basis, its verifiability, its applicability, okay, means good, okay. So the first, a sound and the right principle should be based on the will of heaven and the spirit of the ancient sage, okay. So what is a good thing? The will of heaven. So that's the efficient cause. That's the drive of the good thing. And how to verify, that's the good thing, okay, that we can call it the material cause or formal cause, right? It is to be verified by the senses and the hearing and the sight of common people. So the good thing should be good on the people, the common people, okay? Final cause, right? What's the purpose, right? The final cause, the purpose is to be applied by adopting in government and observing whether it should be beneficial to the country and to the people. Okay, so you can see his idea of something good means logically, the cause, the efficient cause is from the will of heaven. The target is on the people. The purpose is for the benefit of the people. So that's his thinking on this. So that's about the philosophy. Before I go to another part, I will stop here before I move on. Question or comment? I think this part, the next part, this one, I think is very important. And I don't know, when you read, do you think this way or not? But I think that's quite important in Feng Youlan's writing, right? He called it the seemingly inconsistent, seeming inconsistent, inconsistency. Let's go to Confucius first, right? It seems inconsistent that Confucianists stress those funeral and sacrificial ritual, yet did not believe the existence of spirit, right? It's a little bit inconsistent, right? Confucius famous talk about, he's not going to discuss about the ghost, about the afterlife, but he doesn't talk about afterlife, but he so focused on the sacrificial ritual, he focused on the funeral, right? But on the other side, there's another seeming inconsistency, right? For Mohist to believe the existence of ghost, but at the same time to have opposed the elaborate rituals or conduct the occasion of funeral and making sacrifice to the ancestor, right? Mohism believe the existence of ghost, the dead ancestor, the heaven, but he is against the ritual, against the sacrificial ceremony, right? So it looks like inconsistent. But if you are be careful thinking about, you may see it's consistent, and they have the reason, right? Confucians talking about, when Confucius talk about ritual and the sacrifice, Confucius never talking about to please the God or to please your ancestor, right? He doing this, all the ritual or the funeral is kind of education for yourself, for the people who are alive, not for the dead people. Mohism just opposite. They believe the existence of spirit of ancestor, the ghost, but their existence has purpose. Their existence just like they will revenge. They will punish if you did something wrong. So he has his own purpose. So it's unrelated to whether or not you provide elaborated service to the ghost. It really depends on how good you are. If you do the good thing, you most likely he's talking about punishment. If you steal, if you murder somebody, and the person will come back as a ghost to revenge, to get back to you. I think that's the most part he's talking about, and he collect another prima facie story, okay, about this kind of thing, and he insists that's true. That's in his writing. So a seeming inconsistency actually is they are consistent, but that's the part we need to be careful. And the one interesting argument that's from the Gongmeng, okay. Gongmeng is a Confucian scholar. He talked about, right? And he talked about Confucian. There's no spirit, okay. But the Junzi, a moral man, should learn the ritual of sacrifice, right? So Mohism's argument is to hold this no spirit, but learn sacrificial ceremony is like learning the ceremony of hospitality when there's no guest, throwing fish nets when there's no fish. That's his argument against Confucius' idea. So that's it. Okay. So before I move the state of nature, question, comment? Eddie, please.
I would just say, I'm wondering if the reason that with them being knights and having to protect people and having to commit violence, if they needed to have that ghost, they needed to have that as a warning to their knights, sort of say, don't be a bad knight because these ghosts will come back and haunt you, and don't, murder indiscriminately, right?
Yeah.
It's just a thought that hit me, because I was thinking that's really very contradictory. What you were just looking at, that both of them were very contradictory. But then Confucius was a teacher, so he had no need for violence, or that was not his. But a knight, as you said, he's there to defend everyone, right? So there has to be something that to scare you, to say, do the right thing, right?
Yes.
And spirits can be rather scary. It's just a thought I have.
I think that's we can think it's a very simple thought, but we may surprise, right? A lot of people in today probably still believe so, right? Without a clear religious belief, a lot of people probably still believe so. You will get revenge by the dead people, by the spirit, even you don't have any religious belief, a lot of people probably still believe so. And some philosopher may say, oh, that's your conscience to make sure you are doing good thing. But another way to think about is you may believe some ghost or some God's will or will of heaven, okay? They will make sure this entire universe is just, right? So if you did something bad, it not get caught, it may come back to you. I think it's deep in our mind. I'm not sure everybody, but a lot of people, probably majority, have this kind of belief. You can call it conscience, you can see awareness, or simple way to call it is ghost. Okay, another way to think about it.
Yeah, I just think that probably a knight wields more power, right? So
yeah, if they
you
have to do something,
have to
and
have a way to keep it in check. Yeah.
Yeah.
More so than a teacher would.
Okay, so let's move to another part, the so-called the state of nature. And I kind of this one, the Thomas Hobbes, and in the Western philosophy, famous to argue, well, I think it's a state of nature, which means before civilized, right? What's the human condition before civilized? Okay. Rousseau is one argument, talk about during that time. It's kind of paradise, right? People can do whatever they want, enjoy it until we get more and more people. So we need some rule. That's Rousseau's thinking. But here I bring another concept. It's from Thomas Hobbes, right? From the 16th, 17th century. Okay, he's famous on the writing about the state of nature. Okay, and the reason I picked Thomas Hobbes is I find out a shocking similar idea between him and Mozi, and I'm going to. I think we have time. Okay, so I'm going to include briefly about Mozi's writing about state nature. Okay, which is called the Shandong, identifying with the superior. Thomas Hobbes, his argument basics is state of nature is a state of war. Okay, then he talk about the life of man, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short, right? So long as man is in the condition of mere nature, okay, which is a condition of war, as a private appetite is the measure of the good and the evil. So mine is good, that's mine, okay? And that's the situation. So when we move to the civilized society, that's why he proposed his social contract, which is different than what we know today. Well, yeah, okay. Basically, Thomas Hobbes' argument to seek peace, because if I steal yours, you steal mine, and it turn out we live in a terrible life. That's why we need a social contract to seek peace and with willing others to lay down part of the right of all things by mutually covenanting to submit to authority, the authority of sovereign, and further direct. So we need a government, right? We have a contract with the government, okay, not among people. The contract is between, we set up a government. The government will protect us, right, from stealing each other's food, okay, killing each other. So Thomas Hobbes' ideal government is the absolutism, okay, absolute government. So he talked about we must have absolute authority, right? So we connect in such a way that a loss of one may sort of affect the exile of others. So you make sure the world in peace. So you need a powerful absolute government to ensure our civilized life. So that's Thomas Hobbes' argument. So let's go back on book 3, the chapter 3. Book 3, chapter 2, actually is 2, so-called. So chapter 11, okay, chapter 11, okay. Shandong, that's Mohism's argument. He talked about state of nature. Okay, it's very long, so I just briefly put in the 6th part, right? First, he talked about since the ancient time, right? Importantly, everybody according to his own idea. Then he talked about, right, we have 3 people, we have 3 different ideas. We have 10 people, they have 10 different ideas. So everybody have a different idea. And then just like animal, people will fight each other. So in Mohism point of view, Mozi's point of view, right? People in the original, one person have one idea, 2 have 10 people have 10 different ideas. So people kind of like stealing on each other, fighting with each other. So that's the problem. So then you need to create a government. So the government create is due to because there's no ruler, right? The lack of ruler. Therefore, the heaven choose a virtuous one in the world, crown him as an emperor. So the emperor was chosen by the heaven. And the state is so big, right? So the emperor, which is the virtuous people, will choose his 3 ministers, okay, as a virtuous people. And the 3 ministers will choose more people, okay? And since the country is so big, so you need a feudal lord, okay, to take care of other place. And the emperor will choose the virtuous people and the law. So that's the state start to bring in. So where's the morality coming from? Other than that, he talked about, since the problem is different people have a different moral standard. So in this way, you need a top-down morality. So the superior made its own basics, reward and punishment. And he was clear-sighted and on his own people's conduct. So basics, since everything is top-down, so the virtuous people be the emperor, the second virtuous become the minister, become the feudal lord, and blah, 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 going down. So they all set their moral standard. And then the people from the bottom, you should look up the person on superior to follow them. So the idea is everything should be united. The entire state or entire world should be united as one moral standard. And then he will talk about that's the will of heaven. Because if he also think about the situation, right? That's the ideal situation, right? The top person is the virtuous person. The people on the bottom should, the virtuous people on the top should set up the moral standard. And then the people on the bottom should follow the leader, follow their spirit. So everything will be in peace. But of course, everybody will come with the question, right? Like, oh, how about the emperor is not virtuous? The governor is corrupted, okay? Or you say there's some people who is bad people, okay? So the idea is if the government or the ruler is corrupt, they have the will of heaven will punish. So we talk about the punishment from the heaven on the people for they are not at the identical standard. That's the heaven will punishment. That's the come with the heaven. And what government need to do is government also set the punishment to punish the people who are not conforming with their superior. Okay. So that's also important. So in this way, Mohism built a state. His idea of state is based on the absolute government with uniform moral standard. Every follow the same rule. Okay, that's his ideal world. So in one way, he talked about love. Love is how do you ensure, okay, this love, convince people to practice love. Yes, you should love. Okay, one by insurance. They have the government on top of government. They have the ghost on top of ghost. They have the will of heaven. That's all ensure, okay, to have a peaceful world. Okay, that's what he want to do on this one. So I think we should, let me stop here. Okay, before I go to the criticism, we probably can have more discussion on this. Okay, Madam, please.
Yes, can you go back to slide number 4 of this sequence?
Okay, yeah, this one.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, oddly enough, it is the same. He is calling upon the same type of hierarchy as Confucius.
Yes.
Has he just have the Mohists just ended up reinventing the wheel, or are they trying to introduce something new into existing structures?
Okay, I think that at that time nobody has the guts or nobody ever think about, or probably will say we ask too much for the people during that time to think about let's tear down the government. That's everybody equal, right? I think society
Okay,
is
thank you.
hierarchical, right? That's something we never thought, just like America is democratic country. We don't doubt. Okay, somebody thought. Okay, but anyway, there's something very fundamental, right? Just even in Bible, right? Even Jesus will not say liberate the slave, right? He also considers the slave is a part of society because it's beyond the fundamental. So hierarchy. Okay, you have the ruler, three minister, you have a feudal lord, you have villager, blah blah blah. That's nobody going to get. Difference is this. I'm going to compare. Okay, later, right? In Confucius' idea is during that time they start. You can see the structures start to shake up, right? Because some you will see the son, okay, kill the father, okay, and steal the throne. You will see you attacked your neighboring state, which is supposed to be your cousin, right? And you attack them and take over their country. That's all kind of problem. They and then I don't think they are smart enough or open-minded enough to think about, let's do democracy. Let's do something, right? Let's try something different. They don't see this way. So Confucius' solution is morality. Okay, we should have moral, right? The ren, okay, human heartedness, right? How do you treat your parents is the way you treat your ruler. How do you treat your kids? Okay, is how a ruler to treat your minister. How does the minister to treat the people? So that's a Confucius idea. Mozi's idea is more tough on that. He say that's unify, okay, all the moral standard, okay, whatever on the top set is right, okay. So in this way, everybody were in the moral standard, and then there'll be peace, right? And then legalism will talk about different way. They talk about reward and punishments. So they all try to preserve this structure, but they do it in a different way.
Thank you.
Okay, so any comment or question? I think we are doing very well on the timing, so we can go to the criticism on this one. Thank you for everyone listening, and then okay, a few criticism. I probably don't have to go this one. I will save this one for the when we talk about Han Fei, the legalism. The only thing I want to see is the knight errant. He talked about 5 termites. You should get rid of them, right? Knight errant is the person, merchant, artisan. Okay, so different than Feng Youlan. Feng Youlan kind of believe Mohism is belong to this group. I kind of believe Mohism is this group. But anyway, okay, that's not the favorite group, because according to Mohism, they are like a termite. Okay. So another thing I'd like to talk about is Mencius. We will talk about Mencius in about 2-3 weeks. Okay. So as you know, Mencius is Confucius' 4th generation disciple. All right. So he's promote Confucianism. So here I want to show is Mencius complaint. The philosophy of Yangzhu and Mozi are popular now. Okay, so you will see Mencius live in the time of warring state, and then what he complained about the philosophy of Yangzhu and Mozi. These two philosophies, a lot of people in today, Chinese or non-Chinese or Western, not that obvious, not that popular. But Mencius make a big effort to talk about these two philosophies. Yangzhu we will deal next week. Mozi we deal today, right? He said they are popular. So they believe the teaching of either, people believe the teaching, people either believe Yang or Mo, right? So you can say in today, Yangzhu is right extreme, right wing, okay? Modi is left wing, the left radical, okay? The people either believe, okay, and the Yangzhu is for myself, okay, and Modi is talking about impartial love or embracing love, which means treating parents as others, okay, not recognize one's ruler as one's parent. So according to Mencius, this left wing or right wing, they don't respect their ruler. They don't respect their parent. Special respect their parents, right? You should respect your parents different than other people, but they are the same. According to Mencius, which is a Confucian school, he thinks that's no different than beast. Okay, so that's why this society gets a lot of problems. So that's Mencius talking. So Mencius philosophy, we will deal with this one later, but when we talk about this criticism, we will make everything, Yangzhu or Mohism's philosophy clear, right? Yangzhu's philosophy is for myself. Okay, we will talk about next week. Even though he might be able to benefit the whole kingdom, that's it. We talk about next week. We talk about this one more today. Okay, Modi's principle is impartial love. Even he had to damage his whole body from head to heel in order to benefit the whole kingdom. He will not hesitate to do it. Modi, okay, so that's so-called extreme, the left wing thinking. Zimo, okay, Zimo is another person who stay in the middle. He stayed the middle between these two, okay. But Mencius' complaint is you should be in the middle and with some room to change. Okay, that's Mencius' idea. But anyway, the important thing is today we deal with Modi, which is so-called Mohism. And then you can see from this text, Mencius' text, you can see how popular of thinking, this kind of thinking during that period of time, okay? And how strange, people don't know him, okay, in today, okay? Same as next week, right? We talk about Modi as the left wing, and the next week I'm going to talk about Yangzhu, who is the right wing. Okay, so these two are very popular during that time. Okay, before about 200, 300 century before Christ. Okay, so that's all I need to talk about today. And then we have, okay, perfect. We have a 10 minutes break, and then welcome any question, comment if you. So, any question or comment? Let's have Joe, Joyce, and Joe Finocchio. Okay, Joe. Yeah.
Okay, this is Joe Joyce. The last slide you showed, where basically I think Mencius was concerned that someone would be willing to damage their body to save the kingdom. What is wrong with that? I mean, isn't it more important to save your country of origin than it is to lose a finger or something? How do you explain that?
Yeah. I mentioned did I have the detailed explain, but I could understand. I'm not saying I agree. Okay, mentions the thinking is that's your fundamental, right? He's not utilitarian. Okay, so would you kill your brother to save the entire world? No. okay? Because the principle is wrong, right? You damage your body to save the world. That's wrong because that's your body, right? You should do it from, he's the ontologist. You do it by principle, not by the purpose. I think that's the key difference. That's my apology for Mencius, and that's why it's wrong. That's why he talking about they are beasts, because so if necessary, Mohism, they may sacrifice their parents to save your country, okay? So to Mencius, it's wrong, okay? Because you should love your parents first. Does it mean you have to sacrifice other people's parents to save my parents? I don't know, but Mencius is more on the human nature. That's my apology to Mencius. I'm not saying I agree with him. There's a further argument, but that's an interesting thought. Joe, another Joe, please.
Thanks, Jason. Jason, could you maybe explain a little more what he meant by heaven, Mozi, when he's referring?
Okay. So it's always face a difficulty to translate the heaven, and then let's put it this way. You can say God if you take a Christian word, right? You can say God, okay, Christian God, okay. But Chinese traditional all philosophy believe they have the highest power, which is heaven, and the heaven has its own will. That's, I believe, all school believe, except the Daoism, okay, doesn't believe heaven has will, okay. All other school, they believe heaven has will, okay. So all the disaster or something happened, that's a heaven, something unpredictable, unexpected, that's from the heaven. So in this sense, it's Christian God, right? This kind, but it's not personified Christian God, because never people describe heaven look like, heaven prefer something. No, it's a moral, you would say the highest moral on this one, that's put this way. So I hope I explained clearly, but easy way to talk about it. It's not paradise, okay? It's not sky, okay? That's put this way, okay? So, Madeline, please.
There was a part. There was the conflation of the health of the ruler and the health of the kingdom. And I know that here in the West we had the tradition of the Fisher King, which would be the wounded king who suffers and suffers until the kingdom is put right. And the kingdom, but until the Fisher King is healed, the kingdom cannot be put right. I forget which order things have to be done in, but again, it's the actual physical body of the ruler of the kingdom, conflated with the body of the people, and specifically the land. It can have a lot to do with things like plagues, droughts, famines, crop failures, floods, which would depend on how well the ruler is following the mandate of heaven in all things.
Yeah, thank you for explaining this one. And actually, I think it's fair to say all schools or through the tradition, probably even today, right? So I remember in Taiwan's election, this also happened. Then people complained they have a big earthquake, okay, because the ruler or the party, okay, the party is not doing the right thing, okay. So it's easy to blame on this. So it's not unusual to complain or say because you did something wrong, that's why we suffer. And then at least I can see this one probably running through even people don't believe it. People probably still talk about this in the language level.
And in the part here where Mozi says that if people do right, the ghosts will reward them, the spirits will reward them. If they do wrong, the spirits will punish them.
Yeah.
Was that already, I mean, it sounds as if that was probably already a folk belief, a sort of tit for tat thing that might have already existed. And he was drawing upon that and strengthening it as part of his doctrine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say reward and punishment is a human nature, right? Even in the tribal society, the parent no reward and punishment. But I would like to look at it in a little bit way. A way to look at it is in Mohism, the reward and the punishment is for the benefit of people, right? Because if we think about it, it's from the lower class people, the commoner. His purpose is for the good of people. But we talk about reward and punishment in legalism. The purpose is the benefit of the state, or in other way, the benefit of the ruler. And that's the difference, okay, when we talk about reward and the punishment. And then back to another subject, we talk about heaven, right? I talk about the God's will or the will of the heaven. One school not believe the will of heaven is Daoism, right? They believe heaven. So in Daoism translation, the heaven, I will not translate as God, right? You will translate as nature, because that's what it is, right? That nature will do this way. We are part of nature. The God will not punish me because I did something wrong. Okay? I think that's the Taoism thinking. And then next week we probably will deal with Fang Youlan call it the first phase of the Taoism philosophy. So, any comment, question, suggestion about today and the future section, and then we will continue to move on, to week by week, to try to be more consistent to deal with this book. Yeah. So, Madeline, please.
Yes. Well, while I appreciated your comparison last week of Confucius's Ren with Kant's universal law, this has somewhat more of the dispassionate feel to it that Kant has. In terms of the, you're supposed to have this consistency of agape,
Okay.
whereas Confucius is more feeling based. It's more like he sort of combined Hume's feelings of benevolence with a little bit of the universal law.
Okay, so in your opinion,
Yes.
Mohism is more Kantian than Confucius, right?
Yeah, possibly. It does seem to have that slightly cooler, more even-handed feel to it, and the sense that this should be made habit in daily life, not just at ritual times.
Yeah, I got your point, but I would say, if you talk about love or Ren, which has this faith, this is not Kantian, is more human. Let's put it this way. I mean Confucius, but the concept of Yi, right, the righteousness in Confucius, could be much more Kantian, because it talks about duty and for the sake of duty. So in this point of view.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, but if you talk about Ren, right, which is the human heartedness, it's totally human, okay, or become a Scottish school, okay, sentimental base, right? So Adam Smith. Okay, this kind of thinking, then Kantian thinking. Kantian will totally reject this kind of feeling, right? Kant will call this one pathological feeling, right? So,
all right, maybe Mohism is slightly more like Kierkegaard then.
Kierkegaard, okay, yeah. But anyway, that's the interest part to discuss about, you know, the school. And then I appreciate what Feng Youlan's writing, because he kind of use Western method to analyze Chinese philosophy, and then you probably it's easier to compare with the Western philosophy. Eddie, please.
Yes, I was just wondering if you had some suggestions for poetry or anything that would capture the feelings at this time for warring states. Years ago, I read a book of Chinese poetry, and although some of it was rather sad at that time, people dying and whatnot. I can't remember the name of the guy who wrote it. I think it began with a P, but at any rate, I was just wondering if you had any suggestions for that type to sort of complement what the era that you're describing here in philosophy.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you ask about poetry, probably you ask the blind. So
No, I mean it's fine. It's just it's nice to get sort of the feeling of
yeah. Okay.
of poets, and, you know, in their
If you talk
expression.
about during this time, okay, two things I'm interested, and then I always have a plan to introduce. One is the Book of Ode, okay, a book of poetry, which Confucius used a lot. He quote the Book of Ode, which has been the 300 poem, okay, and been written before Confucius' time, at least 300 to 500 years before Confucius' time, and then Confucius like to read it and give the moral interpretation on that. Okay, that's one thing. Another one is so-called the Chu Ci, okay, so which is developed on the southern part. If you look at the map, Confucius on the northern part and the southern part. Technically, in the state of Chu, we talk about this one, the powerful state, which is on the south. I believe they spoke different language or dialect. So they have their own way of writing, and their poetry is considered very beautiful. And then since on the northern side has less less poetry, so it has a strong influence in the future. Okay, and one good way to read is Dao De Jing, which is considered Daoism reading, and Zhuangzi. These two philosophy, I introduce them as a philosophy, but when you read the text, actually it's a very poetic text. Okay, Laozi, Dao De Jing, which I'm hosting on every Tuesday, okay, 5 o'clock Pacific time or 8 o'clock on the Eastern time. We read chapter by chapter. If you read, it's very poetic, but I interpret as a philosophical way. Zhuangzi, which I introduced last year, I spent almost a whole year reading the 7 chapters, the inner chapter. I also introduced it the philosophical way. But you read, and a lot of professors in Taiwan, when they teach, they are not teaching us philosophy, they're teaching us literature. Okay, and the text is very, I would say, poetic and lyric. Okay, writing. Okay, so beautiful writing. Okay, so that's the only thing I can say for people doing
Yeah,
this.
I wish I had the book. I can't remember, but the poetry was incredibly beautiful, especially the love poetry was just incredibly beautiful. And I remember at the time I wished I could read Chinese because they said it was much richer in Chinese because of the.
Oh yeah, I think it's same as all the poetry, right? You have to read it in their own way, otherwise you always miss something. Okay, Barbara, please.
Well, I was just going to say to Madeline that it just so happened when she mentioned Kierkegaard, I had to laugh because I was in a meetup last night about Kierkegaard and was listening to his the way he discriminates or makes a distinction between love that is not particular, that's more, and I wouldn't call it exactly universal, but that it doesn't depend on any particular relationship. And that would, in his view, be Christian love. And in versus the more particularized form of love that everybody does engage in, which would be the kind of Confucian love, or in his Kierkegaard's view was the love of the I forget who was trying to pin it on, maybe a poet or something, but it was worldly love. That's all he would call it. So yeah, there is a similarity, and it's funny. I heard it a lot last night, so I just thought I'd bring that up to let you know.
All right. Thank you. And then I hope see you next week. We deal with another opposite side. Whatever Mozi is talking about, it becomes wrong. Okay. For Yang. Okay. So kind of brain twister. Okay. So just remember, if you want to guess what Yang Zhu said, whatever Mozi said, you say you are wrong. Okay. Just go to the other direction. And then let's see how does the other direction we can consider as moral, or we consider as Daoism. Okay, so that's a challenge. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Jason.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay, thank you. Bye.